Amy's voice trembles as she asks the question that no one dared to say out loud for months. Why did you do it, Father? The ranch is silent. The wind whispers through the trees, and every corner seems to hold secrets. Tonight on the Heartland S19 finale, everything changes. A family secret comes to light, and Amy is forced to face the truth about her father, Tim. What did he do? Why did he hide it? And how will Amy respond? The tension is thick, emotions are raw, and hearts are about to break and heal all at once. Stick with us as we unravel the shocking moments that have fans talking and dive deep into the confrontation that could redefine the Heartland family forever. The ranch looks peaceful at first. The sun is low in the sky, casting a golden glow across the fields, but the calm is deceiving. Inside the farmhouse, Amy paces back and forth, her mind racing. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle from the wind outside, makes her heart pound faster. She keeps rehearsing the words she knows she must say, the question she cannot hold back any longer. For months, she watched her father act strangely, hiding things, avoiding eye contact, and carrying a weight that seemed heavier than anything she could understand. The more she thought about it, the more questions filled her mind. What was he hiding? And why would he do something that could hurt the people he loves most? Amy stops at the window, looking out at the paddocks where the horses graze quietly. Their calmness is a sharp contrast to her stormy thoughts. She remembers all the little moments that now seem connected, the strange phone calls, Tim's late-night trips, and the brief looks of guilt that crossed his face when he thought no one was watching. Each memory cuts deeper, making her feel both confused and betrayed. She knows the truth is coming, and she is terrified of what it might mean. She also knows she cannot avoid it any longer. Meanwhile, Tim is in his workshop, hands covered in sawdust, trying to keep busy. But even the rhythmic sound of his tools cannot drown out the heavy feeling in his chest. He feels the weight of Amy's questions approaching, and every second that passes makes the moment harder. Memories flood him, decisions he made, mistakes he tried to fix, and the moment he realized that hiding the truth was no longer an option. His shoulders are tense, and he can hear Amy's footsteps above, her pacing, a warning that confrontation is near. He closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and prepares himself, knowing that once she asks the question, nothing will ever be the same again. Back in the living room, Amy grips a small photograph of the family, the edges worn from constant handling. She remembers the happy times, the laughter, the moments of connection with her father. And then she thinks of the moments of doubt, the little cracks that started forming over the years. Now, those cracks are about to widen into a chasm. She whispers to herself, almost as if saying it out loud could steal her courage. I need to know. I need to hear it from him. Outside, the wind picks up, rustling the leaves and carrying with it the sense of something inevitable. Something is about to break, and there is no turning back. The camera would linger on the ranch, the wind, the quiet paddocks, and Amy's tense figure by the window, while the narration reflects her inner turmoil. Every detail, from the slight trembling of her hands to the shadow of worry on her face, sets the stage for the confrontation. The audience feels the suspense growing, understanding that the calm before the storm is not peaceful at all. It is a moment filled with fear, anticipation, and emotional weight. In this first section, we let viewers feel Amy's anxiety, Tim's inner struggle, and the unspoken tension that has been building for months. The moment finally comes. Amy steps into the hallway, her footsteps echoing softly against the wooden floors, each step carrying a mix of fear, anger, and determination. The air feels heavier than usual, almost pressing down on her shoulders. She can hear the faint clatter from Tim's workshop, a reminder that he's there, waiting or maybe dreading this moment just as much as she is. Her hand trembles slightly as she grips the doorframe, gathering the courage to confront the man she's loved and trusted all her life. Every second feels like an eternity. The ranch that once felt safe now seems like a stage for something monumental. Amy finally speaks, her voice barely more than a whisper at first, but growing stronger with each word. Father, why did you do it? The question hangs in the air like a storm cloud, heavy and charged. Tim freezes mid-motion, a piece of wood in his hand forgotten. His eyes widen for a brief moment, the recognition of guilt and the inevitability of this confrontation flashing across his face. He sets the tool down slowly, not daring to interrupt, knowing that this is Amy's moment to speak the truth she's been holding inside for months. The silence stretches, almost unbearable, filled only by the soft creak of the old farmhouse and the distant call of a hawk outside. Tim finally speaks, his voice low, measured, and tinged with regret. I thought I was protecting everyone. I thought I was doing the right thing. His words are hesitant, each one carefully chosen, as if testing the ground before revealing the full truth. Amy's eyes fill with a mix of hurt and disbelief, her hands clenching at her sides. The camera would linger on her tense posture, the slight quiver in her lips, capturing the internal storm raging inside her. The audience can feel the weight of years of unspoken secrets crashing down in this single exchange. The faceless video can use visual metaphors to emphasize the emotional tension. Outside, the wind picks up again, rattling the windows and carrying the sound of distant thunder, echoing the brewing storm within the house. Shadows stretch across the walls, symbolizing the emotional weight and the darkness of the secret finally revealed. Amy takes a cautious step closer, her voice shaking but unwavering. I trusted you. I needed to know you'd always be there for me. And now, I don't know what to think anymore. Each word cuts deep, not just for Tim, but for the audience, who have been waiting for this confrontation. Tim closes his eyes briefly, swallowing hard, feeling the full impact of Amy's words. He takes a step toward her, hesitant, but desperate to make her understand. I made a choice I thought was right at the time. I never wanted to hurt you, Amy. I swear I didn't. The confession hangs in the air, raw and vulnerable. The faceless video can show symbolic visuals here, maybe hands reaching out but not touching, the flickering light of a lantern, or a horse pacing quietly in the paddock, reflecting the tension between the characters. The section ends with both of them standing in that tense hallway, the silence louder than any words. Amy's eyes search Tim's face, searching for answers, while Tim struggles to meet her gaze, burdened by the truth he's finally spoken. The wind howls outside, the shadows of the house dancing across their faces, and the audience is left on the edge of their seats, wondering what Amy will do next. This is the moment where everything changes. The calm is gone, the storm has arrived, and hearts will never be the same again. Amy steps back, her body trembling, as if the weight of the secret has physically knocked the air out of her. The hallway feels smaller, tighter, closing in around her, reflecting the chaos in her heart. Her eyes are wide, fixed on her father, but at the same time, she feels as though she's looking at a stranger. Everything she thought she knew about him seems to shift in that instant. The calm, steady man she relied on suddenly feels distant, almost unreachable. Her hands hang limply at her sides, but inside, a storm of anger, confusion, and sorrow rages. The faceless video can capture this through symbolic shots. A close-up of her shaking hands, shadows stretching across the walls, and the wind rattling the window panes like the echoes of her broken trust. Tim takes a hesitant step forward, his eyes pleading for understanding. He reaches out, but Amy instinctively steps back, a physical barrier mirroring the emotional wall now between them. Amy, please. I never wanted this to happen. I thought I was doing the right thing, he says, his voice cracked with regret. But his words feel fragile against the magnitude of betrayal Amy feels. She shakes her head, unable to speak, her chest heaving. The faceless video can show this tension with abstract visuals, perhaps a horse pacing alone in the paddock, or a beam of sunlight cutting through the shadowed room, symbolizing a glimmer of hope amidst the hurt. Memories flood Amy's mind. Every moment of doubt, every quiet suspicion she had months ago, now snaps into painful clarity. She remembers the nights she lay awake, wondering why her father seemed distant, why he avoided certain questions, why the ranch felt off. Each memory is like a thread being pulled, unraveling the sense of safety she once had. The faceless Video can enhance this by overlaying subtle visuals, blurred flashes of past events, the creak of an old rocking chair, or the rustle of leaves outside, reminding the audience that the past is always present in this confrontation. Finally, Amy finds her voice, trembling but resolute. "You should have trusted me. I could have helped. I could have understood. But now, everything is broken." Her words hang heavy in the air, striking Tim in a way that silence never could. He lowers his gaze, the shame and regret evident even without showing his full face. The audience feels the weight of the moment through narration: a daughter's love, tested by betrayal; a father's good intentions, shadowed by mistakes; and a family on the edge of fracture. The room seems to grow colder, the wind outside carrying the sense of unresolved tension. Amy slowly turns, walking toward the door, her steps measured but heavy, as though each step is breaking her heart a little more. Tim stands frozen, the echo of her departing footsteps lingering, the silence louder than any confession. For the faceless video, this can be shown with slow pans of empty rooms, flickering light through the windows, or a close-up of the photograph Amy had been holding, now slightly crumpled in her hand. The section ends with both of them in separate spaces, the emotional distance more tangible than ever. Amy's heartbreak is palpable. Tim's regret fills the room, and the ranch, once a symbol of family unity, feels like a stage for pain and reflection. The audience is left holding their breath, sensing that while the confrontation has occurred, the fallout is far from over. Trust has been shaken, emotions are raw, and the path to healing is uncertain. This is the moment where the Heartland family is at its most fragile, and every viewer can feel the tension cutting deep. The ranch is quiet, almost too quiet, as if the land itself is holding its breath. Amy stands at the edge of the porch, the cold wind tugging at her hair, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The golden light of the sunset is fading, leaving long shadows that stretch across the fields, shadows that mirror the uncertainty in her heart. She clutches the photograph of her family, now wrinkled from her grip, a symbol of the love and trust that feels fractured beyond repair. Every sound, the distant call of a bird, the creak of a gate, the rustle of leaves, seems amplified in this moment. Echoing the tension that has reached its peak, Tim watches from the doorway, his hands still trembling, caught between guilt and the desire to bridge the gap. He steps forward slowly, the floorboards groaning under each footstep, the sound magnified in the heavy silence. "Amy, please," he whispers, his voice raw and breaking. "I know I've hurt you. I know I've failed as a father, but I need you to hear me. I never wanted to lose your trust." The words hang in the air, weighted with sincerity. Yet the distance between them is more than physical, it is emotional. A chasm that feels impossibly wide. Amy turns slightly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, but her posture remains rigid, a barrier of pain and hurt. "You made a choice, Father, one that changed everything. How can I ever look at you the same way again?" Her voice is trembling, a mix of sorrow and anger, capturing the depth of betrayal she feels. The faceless video can dramatize this with symbolic visuals, her silhouette against the fading light, the wind whipping through the trees, or a slow pan over the empty paddocks, reflecting the emptiness and uncertainty now present in the family. Tim swallows hard, struggling to find the right words, knowing that no explanation can erase the past. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right, Amy. I need a chance," he admits, his voice barely above a whisper. The faceless video can use symbolic imagery here. Perhaps a door slightly ajar, a hand reaching toward but not touching, or a lantern flickering in the dark, representing hope amid despair. Amy's gaze softens slightly, the first cracks in her emotional wall appearing, but she does not speak. The silence is heavy, almost unbearable, leaving the audience in suspense. Then, the wind gusts, slamming the porch door shut behind Tim, a dramatic punctuation to the unresolved tension. Amy watches as the shadows lengthen across the fields, her figure standing tall yet vulnerable, as if carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. The camera would linger on the distant horizon, the fading sunlight casting a fiery glow, symbolizing both endings and new beginnings. The narration intensifies, The confrontation has ended, but the questions remain. Can Amy forgive her father? Can the Heartland family heal after the storm? Or has everything changed forever? The video fades to black slowly, leaving only the sound of the wind and the soft, distant whinny of a horse. Text appears on screen. Heartland Season 19 finale. The truth has been revealed, but the story is far from over. What happens next? The cliffhanger lingers, urging viewers to comment, speculate, and return for the next chapter. Every element, visual, sound, and narration is designed to leave the audience holding their breath, fully immersed in the emotional intensity of this pivotal moment. This final section turns the confrontation into a cinematic, unforgettable climax. The fallout is real, the emotions are raw, and the future of the Heartland family is uncertain. It's dramatic, tense, and perfectly suited for a faceless video that keeps viewers glued to the screen, craving answers that will only come in the next episode. The sun has fully disappeared, leaving the ranch bathed in a cool silver moonlight. The shadows of the barns and fences stretch long and sharp across the fields, twisting like questions that have no answers. Amy sits alone on the porch steps, her knees drawn to her chest, the photograph of her family still clutched tightly in her hands. The silence around her is heavy, almost suffocating, broken only by the soft rustle of the wind through the tall grass. In this quiet, she lets herself feel everything: anger, betrayal, sadness, and a glimmer of hope, emotions that twist together like a storm inside. Tim moves slowly through the farmhouse, the weight of regret pressing down on him with every step. Each room seems to echo with the past: laughter that once filled the air, arguments left unresolved, and secrets he hoped would never come to light. He pauses by a window, looking out at Amy, whose figure is small against the vast moonlit fields. His heart aches at the distance he's created, the emotional gap that seems impossible to bridge in a single night. For the faceless video, this can be represented with symbolic imagery: shadows stretching across walls, a candle flickering and almost going out, or a slow pan across empty chairs and family heirlooms. Silent witnesses to the tension. A sudden sound breaks the stillness, a distant horse whinny from the paddock. Amy flinches, as if the sound carries the weight of her father's secret, a reminder that the past cannot simply be left behind. She stands, brushing her hair back, her eyes scanning the ranch, searching for answers, for signs, for reassurance that this family she loves can survive the storm. The narration emphasizes her inner struggle. Amy thought the confrontation would bring clarity. Instead, it opened a door to questions she wasn't sure she could answer. Trust, once shattered, does not easily mend. Meanwhile, Tim takes a deep breath and steps outside, stopping a few feet from Amy. The wind rushes around them, tugging at his jacket and her hair, as if the ranch itself is holding its own judgment. Tim speaks, his voice low but steady, carrying the weight of months of hidden pain. Amy, I can't change what happened, but I won't let this ruin everything we've built. Please, don't let one mistake define us. Amy remains silent, looking at him, her body tense, her face unreadable. For the faceless video, the camera could focus on details: hands trembling, the moon reflecting on the paddock water trough, or shadows of the two figures stretching across the porch, so close yet so far. The tension peaks as a sudden gust of wind blows open the barn doors, startling both of them. Inside, the dim light flickers across old tools and forgotten objects, symbolizing the unresolved secrets still lurking in the Heartland. Amy glances toward the barn, a flicker of fear and curiosity crossing her posture. Could there be more she doesn't know? The narration teases the mystery. Even as truths are revealed, some secrets refuse to stay buried. What else might Tim be hiding? And how will Amy face it if the storm comes again? The scene ends with Amy stepping toward the barn, hesitant but determined, and Tim following cautiously behind. The wind howls through the trees, the moonlight catches on the paddocks, and the camera lingers on the dark silhouette of the ranch, alive with tension and unanswered questions. Text appears on screen. The Heartland family faces a choice: forgiveness or fracture. What will happen next? The cliffhanger is sharper than ever, leaving viewers questioning, speculating, and desperate for the next episode. This section elevates the drama, blending suspense, emotion, and mystery. It sets up a continuing story arc that keeps the audience engaged. Perfect for a faceless video that relies on narration, atmosphere, and symbolic visuals. The night has deepened, casting the ranch in shades of silver and shadow. The barn doors sway gently in the wind, creaking like the unspoken words that have haunted the Heartland family for months. Amy stands near the entrance, silhouetted against the faint moonlight spilling across the paddock, her figure small yet fierce with determination. The photograph in her hand is now slightly crumpled, a visual echo of her fractured trust. Every muscle in her body is taut, every breath shallow, as if the ranch itself has drawn her into the emotional storm that has consumed the day. The faceless video can capture this tension through long, lingering shots of the empty barn, rustling leaves, and the subtle flicker of shadows, conveying that the drama is far from over. Tim approaches slowly, each step deliberate, weighed down by months of regret. He stops a few feet behind her, the space between them thick with unspoken words. "Amy, I need you to know something else," he says, his voice barely above a whisper, trembling with sincerity. "There are things I didn't tell you, things I thought I was protecting you from. But now, you deserve to know the truth." The words hang in the cold night air, heavy with meaning. The ranch lies in quiet darkness, the last glow of moonlight spilling across the paddocks and reflecting off the farmhouse windows. Amy stands alone on the porch, the photograph of her family still in her hands, now crumpled from hours of tension and emotion. Her breathing is steadying, but the storm inside her chest has not yet passed. She gazes toward the distant barn, the place where truths were revealed and where secrets still linger. Every shadow seems heavier now, every rustle of leaves sharper, as if the land itself is holding its breath, waiting to see what comes next. Tim approaches slowly, each footstep deliberate, almost hesitant. The weight of months of regret and unspoken truths press on him with every step. He stops several feet behind Amy, careful not to crowd her, yet desperate for connection. "Amy, I need you to know. There's more I didn't tell you," he whispers, voice heavy with remorse. "I thought I was protecting everyone, but I see now that I only caused pain." Amy turns slightly, the tension in her shoulders visible even without seeing her face. She listens, heart pounding, torn between anger and the love she still feels for her father. A gust of wind sweeps across the porch, scattering loose leaves and the edges of the photograph in Amy's hand. The faceless video can use symbolic visuals here, shadows stretching across the fields, a lone lantern flickering inside the barn, and the distant silhouettes of horses moving calmly in the paddock, contrasting the emotional chaos of the characters. Amy's eyes drift to a piece of paper that has slipped from Tim's hand, illuminated by the soft moonlight. She bends down, curiosity mingling with trepidation, and picks it up. Only part of the words are visible, hinting at secrets that have yet to be revealed, a reminder that even after confrontation, mysteries remain. The narration intensifies, drawing viewers into the suspense. The truth has been partially revealed. Amy faces a choice: can she forgive her father, or will the shadows of these secrets drive them apart? And what new revelations lie hidden in the corners of the ranch? Amy slowly steps toward the barn, still clutching the photograph, while Tim follows cautiously, the distance between them symbolic of the emotional journey they must navigate. The wind continues to howl, rustling leaves and shaking the barn doors, echoing the uncertainty of what comes next. The final moments linger on symbolic imagery, Amy's hand brushing the paper, the flicker of lantern light across the barn floor, shadows stretching across the paddock, and the quiet figures of the ranch animals under the moonlight. The narration concludes: some truths heal, some secrets haunt, but one thing is certain: the Heartland family will never be the same again. What will Amy do? How will Tim make amends? And what other mysteries lie waiting in the shadows? The screen fades slowly to black, leaving only the soft sounds of the wind, distant horses, and creaking barn doors. Text appears on screen. Heartland Season 19 finale. The story continues. What's next for Amy and Tim? This final section perfectly balances emotional closure with suspense, keeping viewers engaged and eager for the next episode, while maintaining the dramatic, faceless storytelling style that makes the video immersive and cinematic.